All right, so we should get started. Let me start the recording. Okay, so morning. So this is our week 5 for summer session 2. Um, so a lot of things will be wrapping up this week, right? So in fact, with the whole class will be wrapping up. Logistically, for this week, we have a lab this Wednesday. So lab on Wednesday, we have the PA due this Sunday, and our final exam is on Saturday. Okay. There is no more quiz, so the quizzes are done. Okay. So for this week, we have a lab, we have a PA due, we have a final exam, and that's it. Okay. The material that we'll cover. So today we should be able to finish everything that we plan to cover, and this Thursday will be Q&A. If you have questions about the practice final or any concept, I'll be happy to answer them. But if you don't have any questions this Thursday, you can use the Thursday's lecture time to prepare for the final exam. Okay. So I'll be available this Thursday during class time to answer any questions you may have. Okay. And that's about it. So logistics. Any questions? All right. So last time we were looking at dictionaries, right? We're looking at dictionaries. And today we'll wrap it up, and then we'll look at one of the applications of dictionaries, which is about CSV file processing. Okay. Excuse me, and that is the last topic we have for CSE 8A in summer session 2. Okay. So last time we said you can have a dictionary, and we use curly bracket in here, and you have the key, colon, value pairs. The key can be any type, well, at least most of the types that we have seen, and the value can be anything. So the benefit of using a dictionary is, given the key, you can easily locate this value. Okay. But there are certain restrictions, potentially, that certain things cannot be used as keys. You have to be very careful in here. So what cannot be used as keys for a dictionary? Which one do you think is right? Based on the reading, we should have a good sense. And so you can vote in whenever you're ready. What cannot be used as keys? Right. So most of the votes, the most popular vote is D. But given the number of people who voted in, we still have a lot of people who voted for other choices. In fact, lists and dictionaries, they cannot be keys. But they can be values. They can be values. So there's no restriction on values, but for keys, it can't be either list or dictionary. Why? The reason is for list and dictionary, they're complicated structures. The keys in the dictionary must be able to be easily converted into a number. the backend structure is called hash table. But for lists and dictionaries, there is no easy way for you to convert the data into a number due to speed constraints. So Python doesn't allow lists and dictionaries to be keys. So just keep this in mind. Okay. So something like this, like for example, 1, 2 is 7. Something like this is not allowed. So 1, 2 can't be, this list can't be a key. Just be careful. Okay. Now a few things about just to practice dictionaries. Okay. So if I have city to location, this is an empty dictionary. And then I started to put things in there. And then I do this part. Did we do this one before? I remember we may have, this one looks familiar. I can't remember exactly. But it feels like we may have tried this one before. Did we, anyone remembers you have done this one before? On Tuesday last week? I can check Canvas. I don't think, yeah, thank you for letting me know.
I don't think we can do
yeah,
that.
yeah, maybe I'm confused. I definitely remember we did this thing. But yeah, then if we didn't do it, then we should finish this one. Okay. So we have city to location. We have a few elements in here, and I'm doing city to location Madison 1. What will be the result here? Okay, so can we vote in? Let me check. All right, so we'll stop the vote. The majority of choice is C. So these part, they are the insertions, right? So we have the string as a key, a tuple as the value, and this is fine, right? Key value pairs. And now we are saying the city to location, city to location is a dictionary. So the first square bracket tells me I'm using Madison as the key. The value would be the corresponding tuple. So basically this part is substituted as this tuple. And I use the index on the tuple, that would give me the value at location 1. So C is the correct answer. Okay. So the key word in here is hierarchy. You have a certain variable, right? The first, you have to know what's the type of this variable. And then you can figure out, because Python always use square bracket to access individual elements in a thing. So if you have multiple layers of square bracket, this bracket is for that variable. This bracket is for whatever this thing is. This bracket is for whatever the overall thing in front of it. So you just have to go from the highest level all the way down to the other level, and that's it. Yeah. Any questions about this? All right. So now we'll put different things together, which looks a little bit strange. So the first thing we'll look at is a list of dictionaries. So what is a list of dictionary? This is a preparation for our CSV file processing. If you look at this one, right? So you got to look at words. What's the type of words? The outermost square bracket tells me it's a list. This part is the first element of the list, which is a dictionary. This is the second part of the list, which is another dictionary. Okay. So as you try to access individual things in this structure, you just like what we said, hierarchy. Pay attention to the hierarchy. What is worth one Paul? Or I'm gonna see an error. If it's error, vote for B. Okay, so what's gonna be the answer? All right. So a lot of us said, Professor, let's check, right? So words one, words is a list. So words one, give me this part, which is the dictionary. And then I say Paul. Paul, this part is a dictionary. So I'm now looking for the value that match to Paul, which is the value, which is this string, professor. Okay, so there's no error. There's no error per se in here. Any question? Now, what's going to happen if I want to add something to this list? Words. What's the best way for me to, like, what's the correct way, not necessarily the best way? If there are multiple ways, you can vote for D. What will be the correct way for me to add a new element to the list? All right, so we'll stop the vote in here. A lot of us said B. Some of us said D. B is the right answer. When you try to add something to a list, you should use append. Right? You should use append. So you can't do something like A. It doesn't work. This will give you an index out range error. This part would overwrite whatever we have in here from location one. So only B is the correct answer. Okay, only B is the right answer. Questions? Now, how about this one? We have this cookies. And I want you to look at this one is not necessarily a list of dictionaries, but it's a weird thing. What is this thing? And then I print out this part. What's going to happen? I will also add in an E error. What would you say the answer is for this one? All right, so a lot of us, in fact, everyone of us voted for C. Let's check. So what is cookies? Cookies is just a dictionary. It's just a dictionary. So if you're saying pythonnews.com, this would try to access the value of pythonnews.com. For pythonnews.com, the value is another dictionary. And then you say section is XGKE. The C is the right answer. We're doing very good on this one. Any questions? All right. Now, I think this is the last thing from the leftover of last week. Now, I have this dictionary, student courses, and then we have these things, and then a for loop of some sort. In the end, I print out the result. What is going to be the result? Take your time. This code is a little bit longer, so I'll give you 2 minutes. Okay. 40 seconds to go. All right, so let's see. Oh, everyone voted for E. Let's check. Either we are all right or all wrong. So we created this dictionary, inserted 3 things. And if you look at for loops allow you to basically go through each of the elements in the container. For K in courses, so basically courses is a dictionary. K would be each of the keys. So first track number, name, people. If K is the same as people, then we'll do the following. So in other words, courses K would tell me the value that match with people, which is this this value. For T in courses, so what this T does is go through each of the keys. So T will be professors, TAs, tutors, students. And this part would be the value that match to the T's. So it's 1 to 33, 600 added to result. So basically the total number of people in the class is 630 something. Any questions about this? So it looks like we're getting this concept in here. All right, so that's kind of what is left over from Thursday. Now the last topic for today, in fact, we may be able to finish the class fairly early today. So is CSV file processing. Okay, CSV file processing. So CSV stands for comma separated values. Is a commonly used format to store data. Like a lot of data used in science are kind of stored in this format. You can think of it as a spreadsheet, the basic spreadsheet. So if you look at this file is a spreadsheet. If you use Microsoft spreadsheet or Google spreadsheet, you open it up, it has rows, have columns, right? So we say each column is a field. Like this column is the company's name, this is the percentage of Hispanic employees, this is the percentage of white employees, Black, Asian, and etc. So it gives us some diversity data of different technology companies. Okay. So each column is a category. Each row is the information of that company. So for NVIDIA, which is very hot nowadays because of AI, this is the percentage of people, like male, female, people of color, and etc. Okay, so each row is the data for a single subject, and each of the fields, like each column, is separated by comma. Let me show you the code. Okay, so I'll show you a CSV file. Let me go to add. We'll add in here. Week 4, week 5 Tuesday. If you look at the CSV file processing, if you look at the file list, there's this tag diversity, and this is what it looks like. If you look at it, company, comma, Hispanic, comma, white, comma, Black, comma, Asian, comma, etc. And all the data separated by commas, like 57.1, comma 5. But this is the data for NVIDIA, for Pinterest, and all the other ones. So altogether, there's 26 columns, 26 rows, 26 rows. Okay. And if you open this file using spreadsheet, let me see if I can download this. I think I already have it on my computer. Hold on 1 second. Let me see. For 8A, I should already have it on my computer. Pre-recording. No. The tech diversity. Where is it? I don't think it's easily located. Let me see. Tech diversity. Okay, there it is. So if you look at this, in this folder, we have this CSV file, tech diversity. If you use spreadsheet to open it, it looks like this. So it's going to automatically format it for you. This is the first column, second column, etc. But the real format is simply all the data separated by comma. Okay. So what we'll try to do in like today is to say, how do we process a file like this? You can ask many questions about the file like this, like how many columns are there, how many rows are there, which company has the highest percentage of black females, which company has the highest percentage of Asian females or white females, or which company has the highest percentage for people of color, which one has the smallest, etc. You can always ask those questions, and you can write a Python code to do it. Okay. But that is what we will try to do today. Okay. Questions? Okay. So first thing, if you look at, supposedly if this is a CSV file, how many columns are there? How many columns? Let's vote in. Okay. How many columns are there? Okay. So we'll stop the vote here. A majority of us said C, 7 columns. Some of us said 8. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 columns. Okay, so you may see, oh, this one has a space. Space is not used to separate different fields. Comma is used. So that's why it's called CSV file. So the answer is 7. Okay. Any questions? In order for you to process CSV files, you got to read in the CSV data into your Python code. And we gave everyone a small dictionary, a small toolbox we call CSE8A CSV.py. And what this one really does is to produce the .py file, produce a result after you read from a CSV file. It's going to return it as a list of dictionaries. I've seen this one before. So there's a function called getCSV. You provide the file name. It's going to give you a list of dictionaries. And I will give you a quick demo on this one. Okay. So let's look at it. Oh, first, let me show you CSE8A CSV. So it has a few data, a few functions. The second one, you don't have to worry about it, is for something else. This one, get Black Lives Matter data, you don't have to worry about that. What we'll look at is this one, get CSV. Okay. So this one is going to return a list of dictionaries. And so what this one does, you don't have to worry about it. You just need to know how to use get CSV. Okay. So first thing, just like the image library, we want to say from CSE 8A CSV import asterisk. And now that's it. So we say data equals to get CSV, and you pass in the file name as a string, tag diversity.csv, and then you can print data. This data is a list of dictionary. Okay? And in fact, each row is an element in the list. Let's run it. Python demo.py. And you see the whole thing is printed out, which looks like a garbage, right? What is this? First thing you should check, data is a list. And you can see this is the first element in the list, the 0th element. The company is NVIDIA, histamic percentage 3.4, white is 42.9, and etc. So basically the first row in our CSV file is used as the key to individual data. And then the data for that company is used as a value. So this is for NVIDIA. For Pinterest, this is what we have. In fact, I remember UCSD, one of our tutors, she was the first female employee of Pinterest. So company's Pinterest, Hispanic 3.7%, white is 50%, and etc. So this is for the second company. As you can see, it follows a very similar format. Basically, the first row give you the keys to each of these dictionaries. And then the data for each company becomes a value. And so it will go through each of them, and that's what it looks like. Another thing I want you to pay attention here is the data that got read in. Like for Pinterest, key standing employee percentage 3.7%. This 3.7 is a string. It is a string. It is not reading as a like a double or float. So if you want to do some math on these values, you have to typecast it into the right integer or float before you can do math on them. Just be careful on this. Okay. So get CSV is fairly easy to use. You just call it and just keep in mind you get back a list of dictionaries. A list of dictionaries. Any questions about this? All right. So let's think about how do we play with the list of dictionaries. Okay. And then we're gonna, I think we have some coding challenges that play with. Okay. So where there is a list of dictionary, what does this one give? So it's 3 cities, Chennai, Madison, San Diego. Chennai is pretty hot. Madison is pretty cold. San Diego is just right. San Diego is a little bit too cold. So what does this one give me? Oh, it's gonna give me an error. If you see error, vote for C. Yeah. All right, so we have a perfect tie between A and C. Okay. So either it's this thing, which is super nice, or it's going to be error. Remember, whether is a list. A list, you have to use indexes to access things in the list. So if you give me city, it's going to be an error. You have to know whether it's a list. Python is not smart enough to figure out, oh, you're looking for all the cities in this list. No. You can see an error. Okay. How about this one? Whether one, well, any questions about the previous one? Now, how about this one? Whether one city, what will be the result? Madison, 25, error, or Chennai? All right. Well, it looks like we we have a tie, perfect tie between A and the D again. Looks like we have two group of students in here, A and D. The previous one we have a perfect tie between A and C. Now, whether is a list, so whether one would give me the first element, which is this one. Yeah, so this is a dictionary, and then city is a key, right? So given that if I have dictionary, you give you a key, you tell me the data, which is medicine. A is the right answer. It's not Chennai. Remember, lists are zero indexed. Zero indexed. So everything we learned before are still valid. It just give you a hierarchy. You have to be patient and go from the top level and step by step. Okay. Any questions about this one? Next one. Whether one city Wednesday. All right, at least we don't have a perfect tie now, but 4 people voted for B, 6 people voted for D. Well, whether one city, this will give me medicine, right? We already know this thing. So this is a string. At this time, I have a string, and I can't index string with like a key here, right? So you can see an error. That's going to be an error. It's not going to tell you, like if you say whether one Wednesday without the city in there, then for people who voted for B probably is right. But this city, basically you end up with a string, and then you're trying to index into a string using a key. That's incorrect. So again, don't think Python is smart. You just have to do it step by step. decompose this step by step. First step, second step, third step. Okay. Any questions about this? How about this one? If we say for row in weather, what is the type of this row? Like this variable. For row in weather, what's the type of this row? Is it dictionary, list, key, value, or string? If I say type row, what do I end up with? All right, so a lot of us saying A, let's check, is a dictionary. That's correct, right? So for row in weather, we're basically looking at individual things in weather, and this is the individual thing. That's a dictionary. Okay, it's not a key value. It's a dictionary because weather is not a dictionary, so there is no key value inside it. Weather is a list. Okay, weather is a list. Any questions? How about this part? What will be printed out for this part? Like if I say for row in weather, print row city 0. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. So what will be printed out? All right, so we'll stop the vote. Let's, oh, sorry, I forgot to open up the vote. Sorry, go ahead. What is the vote? All right, so we disagree with each other quite a bit on this one. So we say for row in weather, this row is a dictionary. We say row city. We're trying to well, not index. We're trying to say what's the value for city, because row is a dictionary. So city is basically Chennai for the first row, and then the second row is Madison, the last row is San Diego, right? And then 0. So this thing is a string, right? Row city, the value is a string. I'm looking at the 0th element, so it'll be the first letter, CMS. C is the right answer, in fact. A string can be indexed, right? You can look at the 0th element. We know you can do slicing, you can do indexing into a string. So C is the correct answer. Looks like a lot of us made mistakes on this one. Any questions with this exercise in here? You have to know what's the type of this thing. The type of this thing is the value that match to city. So you have basically strings in here. And then you index into a string. That's the element. Okay. Are there any questions about this part? All right. Before we take a break, just one last exercise. Okay. So you have this one. Let me ask you, what's the type of this thing? Whether if I have a few bracket, right? What I have in here is this one is like city. This one is a number. This one is a number. Let me do it the other way. So I have this one as a 0, this one as city, this one as a number. What would this one, is this one gonna give me an error or not? Whether 0, city 0, would this give me an error? Just as a quick exercise in here. Will this give me an error or no error? Whether 0, city 0. Again, go from the left to right. So weather, what's the type of weather? Does the 0 make sense? The first 0. If the first 0 makes sense, how about the second city? Does the city make sense? Based on the type of weather 0. Now, weather 0 city, if that makes sense, does the last 0 make sense? All right. So we'll stop the vote in here. The answer is there's no error, right? So 0, weather is a list. So 0 would give me this dictionary. City is used as the key to the dictionary. So I will get this string back. Chennai. Chennai, 0th element is letter C. So it's gonna work. There's no error for this one. Okay. Let's take a break right now. We'll come back for this coding challenge. In fact we have a few coding. We have 4 coding challenges, and then we'll call it a day today. Okay. So let's take a break, everyone. Come back at 12 o'clock. Okay. Break time. We'll resume in 1 minute. Okay. All right. So let's get started. for the second part for today. Excuse me. So we want to write a function. This is a coding challenge. Okay. So we want to write a function that takes a column name and return the name of the company that has the maximum percentage for that category. So if you say total female, find the best, it's going to return the name of the company 23andMe. Okay. I think 23andMe is a biotech company that helps sequence people's genome. All right, so let's work on this coding challenge. I'll give you the link to this challenge. So work on this one and find the best. So the functions prototype should be define, find, best, and this one would take a category. So it's supposed to return the name of the company that ranks the highest in that category. Okay. So please vote in on this one. Once you are done. Okay, once you are done with this coding challenge, for example, I say total female, and it's supposed to print out 23andMe. So let's assume you have access to data. Data is already defined. I think we can do this. If you're done with this challenge, vote in. And this is the first coding challenge about CSV file. So maybe a little bit tricky. Remember, data is a list of dictionary. You are basically looking at the highest in a certain column, right? The category tells you a column. No one is done yet. Based on the vote. I'll give folks maybe 2 more minutes. Once we reach the 5-minute mark, we'll take care of it together. 2 more minutes. vote in if you are done with it. It looks like this is giving us trouble. All right, so let's just work on this together. Looks like none of us were able to finish it. Hopefully after this demo, you get a better sense of how to process a list of dictionaries. So let's see. So result, let's say this is the name that I'll be looking for in the end, right? So I say result right now is empty. Okay. And then I need to go through every column, sorry, every data in a certain column, and that column is specified by this category. Yeah. So the best way for me to go through everything in that column is, remember, data is a list of dictionaries. So what I need to do is for each row in data, what I'll be looking at is I'll be looking at this category in that row. Yeah. So I probably want to define highest equals to 0. To start with, say, because I know all these percentages are bigger than or equal to, I think, bigger than 0. So this highest should be initialized to be a small value. Let's say for each row in here, if the row for this row in this category, and remember this is a string because the data are already in like this is like the data, so it's a string, so we got to typecast into a float. If this thing is bigger than highest, what I will do is you become the highest, and then I will remember your company's name. So if we roll, I think the first one is which is called, I think it's called name or called company, and that's it. So this would allow me to remember the name of the company. In the end, I'll return result. That's it. This will give me the name of the company. Okay. If I say Python demo.py, this for total female, it is 23andMe. But there are other categories that we can say, well, how about for Hispanic female in here? Say Hispanic female, if I do it, do I have a typo? It's possible that Hispanic female, oh, Hispanic typo. Apple has highest Hispanic female percentage of employees. Yeah. So what does it take? You must say, I want to go through each of the data, and because this data is a list of dictionaries, so you're looking for each row. And then the category in that row can be used because this row is a dictionary, so you can use this category as the key to obtain the value. and depending on what you have accessing here, that would allow you to achieve the goal. There's one question. Do we have access to the list of dictionaries? It's come from this data, right? This data is a global, in the global frame. So in this function, you can have access to this data in the global frame. You have it. Any questions? All right. So I hope you get a good sense of like where to get started. You must, in general, go through each row of some certain sort. You cannot go through each column easily, but you can go through each row easily using a simple for loop. And then for that row, you can use the category to do certain thing. Okay. Any questions about this one? No. The next challenge. Okay. The next challenge is coding challenge. This one. So this is the next challenge. There are 3 challenges. Okay. The first one is this. So this data is a list of dictionaries from a CSV file. It can be the tech diversity, it can be something else. You want to return the dimension of the file. How many rows, how many columns? The dimension should be returned as a tuple of 2 elements. The 0th element is the number of rows. The first element is the number of columns. So get dimension. So work on this first exercise. Okay. Get dimension. Okay. So you should define the function and then implement it. Once you are done, vote in. Okay. Once you are done, vote in. Get dimension, return it as a tuple. So how many rows, how many columns? Um, you can ignore the header row, right? You don't have to count header row as a row. Like for the tech diversity, it has 26, 25 rows if you don't count header. The number of columns, I think it's like 13, if I'm memory is correct. One applet is done. Okay. Last 2 minutes. I'll try to give you 2 minutes. All right. Last 30 seconds. Get the dimension, how many rows, how many columns. Remember, you have access to the list of dictionaries. All right, so 3 of us are done. Let's check. We'll define, get dimension. And this one, really, if you have access to this data, well, let's say the um, the CSV. Let's call this just call this, how about list of dictionaries. Okay, list of dictionaries. L of D. So all we need to do is how many rows there are. We'll simply return the length of this list, right? So that's how many rows. How many columns do I have? L of D 0. This is the 0th row. The length of a dictionary is how many key value pairs. All I need to do is to print out get dimension data. That's it. So how many rows there are and how many columns are in that row. Oh, sorry, typo, print. 2514 has 25 rows, 14 columns. That's what this get dimension will give us. Right, so this is how many rows we have. This is how many columns in the 0th row. And we're assuming every row has the same number of columns, which makes sense. In general, CSV files always have that. Okay. Questions about the first challenge? The second challenge. We want to write a function that takes in the data from tech diversity and calculate the average of people of color percentage across all the companies. But just this is a category. You only have to calculate the average of people of color across all the companies and write your code in here. So basically what you want to do is you want to import this thing and then just write this function called calc average people of color. And this one you can think it takes a list of dictionary. And so write it like this. Let's call it calc. Work on this one, right? So if you understand the previous example, find the best of a certain category. In here, it's very similar, right? You are only looking at this category, people of color, and you can hard code it. Right? Work on this one. Once you are done, it's very similar. You just need to add up everything in this people of color category divided by the total number of rows. You know, 2 of us are done. We have 2 more minutes. If you're done with this exercise, there's the third coding challenge. Okay. You can work on the third one. The third one is a little bit challenging. This one is similar to the find best exercise we had before. Last 30 seconds. So let's work on this together. Okay. So since we are calculating the average equal to 0, right? We just need to add up things. So for each row in list of dictionaries, and we're adding up, right? So average plus equals to, you have to typecast this a list of dictionaries at this category. I think it's called people underscore of color, right? Make sure you typecast into float, otherwise it won't work. And you just return average divided by the number of rows. And that's it. Right? This is how many rows I have. This is the total of that row. And I think will give me the right answer. Let's call this people of color.py. Did I do something wrong? Oh, sorry. This one should be row. Put that row in this dictionary. So on average, the percentage of people of color is about 42% across those 25 tech companies. Okay. So this part, for each row, this would give you the information on that row. Questions?
What does the slash mean? Like return? Yeah, that.
Division. That means division. Right? So we have to divide the total by the count. Any other questions? All right, so the last coding challenge for today is this one. Write a function that takes in the data from techdiversity.csv and return the best company for each category. The return value should be a dictionary with a format of category, colon, company name. Write your code in find best. Since we already wrote this find best before, let me I'll just give you let me create this thing so it's easier for you. And I'll put this from CSE 8 CSV import asterisk. So there's this find best. And I want you to write the other function, find best all. Okay. So you're supposed to define find best all. And this one would take a list of dictionaries. Let me make sure this one's good. I have no typos. I give it to you. Okay. So it works. Your job is to finish this find the best of all. And you have access to find the best for a single category. This one would make your life much easier. I put the code into the Zoom chat. You have access to it. Okay. So work on the last coding challenge. Okay. Work on the last coding challenge. Vote in once you're done. 14 once you're done. Okay. You're supposed to finish this find best. Oh, you need to figure out what you can't hard code all the dictionaries. Sorry, all the keys, right? So probably you don't worry about company, like which company name is the best. Probably you don't have to worry about that. But like for all the other categories, you may want to write out. Yeah. One of us have voted in. Okay, 3 minutes into the exercise. If you're done, vote in. Okay. Feel free to call it find best, given the category. You already have access to this find best. You just have to iterate through all the dictionaries. Last minute, how do I iterate through all the categories? Because once I have a category, I can call find best on that category. It's going to return me the company name. I just append it to my result. That's it. All right, so two of us were able to finish this one. Let's do it, right? So in here, I need to have a result that's an empty dictionary because I need to return it. And then for each of the categories, how do I go through the category? I know this is a list of dictionaries. So all I need to do is for each key in the list of dictionary 0, for example. This would allow me to find all the keys. So I would say name equals to find best on this key. This is the name of the company. I'll just put it into my result. The key is the category equals to name. And that's it. I'll return result. And this you can do 1 or 2, but in general, we just use the 0th element. So let's run this. Python find best. You cannot convert. Oh, I forgot the company. Right. So one of the key is company. I said if key is the same as company, forget about it. Continue. Right? Otherwise, it just you can't typecast it as a value. So don't worry about the company. Let's run this. So for Hispanic, it's Apple. For total female, is 23andMe. At least we know this is right. Underrepresented minorities, Apple. So it looks like Apple is doing a good job for minorities. Yeah. Any questions about this exercise here? Find the best. Obviously, we had help with this one. If you have to do this yourself, you basically have to migrate this code, like this part of the code, in here to substitute this call. All right, so I think that's everything we planned out for today. Now, before we finish, I do want to bring your attention to the sample final exam that you can see. There's this sample final exam, okay, and there are answers to it. And when you, when you prepare for the final, like you want to use this one as an exercise, this is a closed book, closed notes exam. And what we have is open book, open notes. So it's different. Okay. And you don't want to look at the answers. You want to finish this one all by yourself first. Okay. The material that may appear in the final is everything from day one until right now. Okay. So if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them right now. Other than that, we're done today. And for Thursday, I will be here to answer also any questions you may have. Okay. So I will stop recording, and if folks have questions, feel free to ask. Okay. Are there any questions?
For the final exam, it's on Saturday, right? So
Yes. 24-hour window. You have 24 hours to find a
okay.
3-hour window.
Okay.
Remember, the final is 3 hours long. Okay. 3 hours long.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Is it still possible to schedule tutor hours this week?
Tutor hours, I think there are still tutor hours available this week. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check. Because on Monday is a holiday, so there is no hours on Monday, but we still have hours. Like right now, there is Julia's tutor hour, and so there are still hours this week.
So we can just join like any of those times to get help on questions.
Yeah.
Will we be able to ask like questions on like the past exams, like taking like the midterm and the quizzes? Because I'm just trying to like figure out some of how I got some of the questions wrong.
Yeah, you can ask me or you can ask the tutors. So
Okay, all right.
do you have a question you want to ask now, or you want to wait?
If I could ask it now, could I ask like a question about the stack frames?
Yeah.
Could I pull? It was like on the midterm. It was like a question about how many stack frames were in it and the global frame. I think I got kind of confused on how to like count them. Would I
Okay.
be able to pull up the question or?
I can. Hold on. I don't want to show other people's grades. Just give me 1 sec. Manage submission. So this is the midterm. Which one is the stack frame? Probably it's a bunch of function calls. This one? How many stack frames are
Yeah, it was
created?
that one. Yeah. I was like
How do-
confused on how to count them.
How did you count them?
I counted the ones inside the definitions and the ones outside, and I got like 7. But it wasn't the right answer, so it was kind of
Like how did you count?
Like-
Full, this is 1, and then 2 and 3,
yeah,
and then 4, 5, 6, 7.
yeah,
No, every function call would generate a frame, and there's also a global frame. So there is a global frame in here, and this is a call that would generate a frame. So that would be, so there is a global, this one would give you 1, right? And then bar is a call in here, so it will be 1. This one will generate 1 frame, and then you are in here. You call full bar. This call will generate another frame. And this full bar would call full again. This is 1 frame. Call full again. That's another frame. Every function call would generate a frame, not just a list of these functions. So full bar would generate a frame, and full bar by itself would generate 2 full frames. That's, if I remember it correctly, it's like, let's count together then. So global frame is 1. So global frame is 1, and then this one